Hello! Welcome to English for Shared. Here, you learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's go!
Secrets by the Sea. Clara arrived in the small coastal town on a cloudy morning. She carried a battered suitcase and a weary heart. The salty smell of the sea mingled with the aroma of fresh bread from a nearby bakery. Everything was new and silent, as if time there slowed down. She had chosen this place on impulse after weeks of browsing rental ads. She didn't want luxury, just a place where she could breathe. She found a white house with blue windows, small, simple, and welcoming, almost touching the sand. It was exactly how she had always imagined it. As she organized her clothes, Clara felt a strange mixture of calm and unease. On the one hand, there was the constant sound of the waves, lulling her thoughts. On the other, a premonition she couldn't explain. She took a shower and rested a bit. Late in the afternoon, she decided to open all the windows to let the breeze in. That's when she heard slow footsteps outside. Her body tensed. Cautiously, she went to the window and drew back the curtain. Outside, the street was almost deserted, but a few meters away, near the rocks on the beach, a silhouette stood motionless, staring out to sea. Clara couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. Before she could call out, the figure moved away and disappeared behind the rocks. She tried to convince herself it was nothing, maybe just some resident curious about the new neighbor. She'd arrived and fallen asleep, staying put all day. Still, a chill ran down her spine. Night fell quickly, bringing with it a heavy silence, interrupted only by the distant roar of the waves. Clara fell asleep late with the image of that silhouette etched in her mind. Who could that person be, she wondered. The next morning, determined to get to know the city better, she went out to buy bread. That's how she entered a small market on the corner and met Miguel. He had a welcoming smile, a soft voice, and a look that seemed to pierce the surface of things. "You're new here, aren't you? Welcome," he said, serving her a hot coffee. Clara didn't know it, but this man held answers to questions she didn't even know she had. As the days passed, Clara made Miguel's coffee a part of her routine. She always liked to sit at the same table, near the window, and watch the calm hustle and bustle of the city. Miguel seemed to have a gift for unhurried conversation, as if each word carried special weight. They talked about books, music, and the sea, but he never asked too many questions about her past, something for which Clara was grateful. One afternoon, as the sun golded the waves, Miguel invited her to walk along the beach. They walked side by side, saying little, as if silence was also a form of communication. Clara noticed that from time to time, Miguel would stare at the horizon, as if waiting for something. Then, suddenly, he became serious and said, "Don't go to the beach alone at night. Some things are better left unseen." Clara frowned in confusion. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, trying to read his expression. But Miguel just smiled enigmatically, looked away, and began talking about the local fishing, as if trying to erase what he had said. They talked about other things later. She didn't press to know what he really meant, but his words kept hammering in her mind. That night, Clara dreamed of the silhouette she had seen on the day of her arrival. In the dream, the figure walked toward her, stopping right in front of her. A soft whisper called her name, making her heart race. She awoke with a start. The room plunged into shadows and realized the window was ajar, letting in the wind. The next day, Clara returned to the market and tried to act normally, but she couldn't help but observe Miguel's every gesture. There was something about him that inspired trust, and at the same time, curiosity. It was as if his smile was an invitation to stay, and his silence a warning to leave. And Clara knew she wasn't ready to choose. The next morning, Clara woke to the gentle sound of the waves. This time, she decided to make herself some coffee. Soon, the smell of coffee wafting from the kitchen filled the house with perfume. She prepared her mug and opened the door to breathe in the fresh air. It was then that she saw an envelope on the floor, with no return address. The paper was slightly damp, as if it had been there overnight. Clara picked up the mysterious envelope and placed it on the table. She stared at it with great curiosity and, at the same time, a certain trepidation about reading it. Unable to contain her curiosity any longer, she tore open the flap and removed a folded sheet. The message was short and handwritten, in firm letters. He is not who you think. Be careful what you discover. Very careful. Clara felt her heart race. Her first thought was of Miguel. After all, he was the only person she'd bonded with there. He was the one she spent most of her day with. But the town was small and full of unfamiliar faces. Maybe it was just a bad joke. Or maybe not. Clara folded the note and put it in the drawer, but her mind couldn't shake those words. That afternoon, she went to the cafe as usual. Miguel was smiling, as usual, but she began to notice details. The way he avoided talking about certain things, his habit of staring at the sea as if waiting for a signal, the sudden silence when someone got too close. Clara tried to act natural, but her gaze followed him constantly. When he finished work, Clara saw him cross the street and head toward the pier. He walked very fast, as if trying to escape something. Driven by curiosity, she kept her distance and followed him. Miguel got into a small boat and began rowing away, until his destination became clear. A rocky, isolated island visible only on clear days. He disappeared among the rocks. Clara stood still, watching. She felt that on this island lay the key to what so intrigued her. But along with the desire to find out, a silent fear also grew, as if part of her knew the truth could change everything. She wondered, what if he's bad? What if he's a murderer? Why did he always seem shrouded in mystery? The next morning, Clara woke with determination. She wouldn't wait for Miguel to reveal what he was hiding. She borrowed a small boat from a local fisherman, claiming she just wanted to go for a stroll. The waters were calm, and the sound of the oar cutting through the sea echoed like a tense rhythm. As she approached the island, she noticed that it seemed larger and darker up close. Among the rocks, she found a small wooden hut, weathered by salt and wind. The door wasn't locked. As she entered, the smell of damp wood and sea air enveloped her. On a table sat an open metal box filled with objects. Old photographs, a silver necklace, and yellowed newspaper clippings. Seeing the photos, she was frightened. They showed Miguel next to a young woman with long hair and a sweet gaze. The clippings told of the disappearance of a woman named Helena, which had occurred 5 years earlier. The news story said that she had disappeared on a stormy night and that despite a search, she had never been found. Clara felt her ground give away for a moment. Who was Miguel really? A man hiding painful memories, or someone involved in something much darker? As she held the necklace, she realized her hands were shaking. A noise from outside made her heart race. Slow footsteps on the island's sand. Someone was coming. Frightened, she hid behind the door. Through a crack, she saw Miguel entering. He stopped in front of the box, looked around. He approached the table, gently touched the necklace, and sighed. He didn't seem to notice her presence. Clara, her heart in her throat, knew she had to get out of there before she was seen. But she also knew that part of her soul was already trapped in this mystery. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She was scared. 1,000 things ran through her mind. The image of Miguel in the cabin, touching the necklace with a look so full of sadness, wouldn't leave her mind. Maybe he wasn't dangerous, but he was definitely hiding something important. At dawn, she decided she couldn't live with that doubt any longer. She went to the market before it even opened and found him sitting alone with a coffee in his hands. Miguel seemed surprised by the early arrival, but let her in. Clara sat down across from him, took a deep breath, and asked directly, "Who is Helena?" The silence that followed was almost palpable. Miguel put down his cup, looked away, and finally spoke in a low voice. "How do you know about her? What did they tell you?" Clara was a little confused and asked again, "Who is Helena? Tell me." This time, with a slightly choked voice, he replied, "She was my fiancée. 5 years ago, she disappeared during a storm. Everyone believed I killed her, but I know better." Clara felt a mixture of relief and sadness. He explained that Helena had gone out alone that night, saying she needed to find something important at sea. She never returned. Since then, he kept the memories on the island, away from prying eyes, and went there as a way to keep alive the hope that somehow she was still nearby. That same night, as Clara tried to gather her thoughts, she heard footsteps again outside her house. They were the same footsteps she had heard the night she arrived. As she opened the door, the chilly early morning air touched her face. The silhouette was there, standing, staring at her. When the moon illuminated her face, Clara felt a shock. It was Helena. Helena was thin and weak, her clothes torn by time and the sea. Clara helped her inside and gave her water. Little by little, the young woman revealed that she had been hiding all these years for fear of a man who was chasing her. She also said that on the night of the storm, she had tried to flee far away, but the man found her and kept her prisoner for all these years. He said that if Helena wasn't his, she wouldn't be anyone else's. During this entire time, she was imprisoned. She was threatened and tortured to accept the man who claimed to love her. He mistreated her because Helena didn't like him. Helena was very weak and debilitated. She had managed to escape from her prison, but she feared for her life because the criminal was still in the city. Clara took Helena to Miguel. Their reunion was silent at first just tears and a hug that seemed to try to make up for lost years. Helena told him everything, and Miguel promised to protect her. But he knew they needed to act quickly. The next day, they went to the police, and with Helena's information, the man who kidnapped her was arrested. The entire town was shocked by the revelation. Miguel, previously viewed with suspicion by some residents, began to be regarded with respect. Helena, unfortunately, could not survive the suffering she endured and passed away. Everyone said she lived until the day she achieved justice by helping the police arrest her tormentor. Clara was present every moment, caring for Miguel, who suffered greatly with Helena's death. Over time, Clara and Miguel grew closer naturally. There was no rush, just a growing affection and the feeling that their lives were intertwined by something greater than themselves. The sea, which once seemed a place of secrets and danger, now became a symbol of new beginnings. Months had passed since the arrest of the man who stalked Helena. The city returned to its quiet routine, but for Clara, nothing was the same. Now, walking the narrow streets, she greeted neighbors who had previously been strangers, smelled the aroma of Miguel's coffee as if it were part of her own home, and looked out to the sea not with fear, but with gratitude. One quiet afternoon, Clara and Miguel went to the island together. There was no longer any need to hide anything, but Miguel wanted to show her every corner, every memory. Finally, he removed Helena's necklace from the box and placed it in Clara's hands. This necklace symbolized a story that was trapped in the past. Now, I want it to be part of our future. Clara felt her heart race. The wind blew hard, bringing the scent of the sea, and in that instant, she felt exactly where she was supposed to be. As if the universe had conspired to make it all happen. Clara and Miguel kissed. As they returned to the mainland, the sun set, golding the sea's surface, as if the ocean itself wanted to seal that moment. And although the mystery was over, Clara knew the sea held secrets no one would ever discover. But for once, that didn't scare her.